showing us stuff on the screen?
His charge was to review the 1998 plan and come back to us and give us a sense of what the work is going to be to update it. So I don't know whether we'll have anything presented or he's just gonna walk us through that.
I'm standing over here so I can see.
Henry is coming from the church. So he'll be here.
All cars are about.
He said he had a meeting at church or something was going on at church and he'd be listening.
The plate is crawling.
Yeah. So the only thing I don't know. Uh-oh. This bigger. There. The only thing I don't know is whether the owl is working. We'll find out when Carl dials in.
It is working.
The owl is working? The screen,
I'm looking at us.
no, I know the screen is working. I don't know if the sound is or not. I thought the last time we came here and turned it on, but I don't see where the on button is.
I think it is on. I think he's looking at me.
Well, that's good.
I think when you start recording in progress, then you'll know. I just want to check the trash. I was picking up his cycles.
Thank you.
I'm taking garbage actually. I guess they don't know. I don't know the difference. Might have to do my best to get it all. And then I will be out of the way.
Thank you very much.
Come on.
Thank you.
Hi, Henry.
Thank you.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for being flexible about the time. We're gonna have an issue on April 23rd too. This room and the Becker Center are booked at 7 o'clock. There's all kinds of standing meetings and Jen never knows if they're actually gonna meet or not, but the RTC has meetings, FIPAC is meeting, the 250th committee, so everything seems to be quite booked up, so when we have a minute, when we're all here, we could talk about a different time perhaps.
What was the date on that one again?
There are two, April 23rd and May 21st. And I think there's conflicts with both of them. I'd rather not change the date, I just, if we can find a different time.
That's for this committee, so just tell them we haven't had an audience. And
It doesn't matter.
if you can.
Yeah, I'd have a problem on the 23rd making it earlier because I have a board meeting from noon to 4:30 in Hartford, and then I'd have to If we did it at 6, I could do that, but I couldn't do.
What about the morning? Could you do something in the morning?
Yeah, could do the morning.
Might be easier to get
Yeah.
the time. What's
I
the
would be, I have to head into it by 11, so I would be free from 8 till
So if we met at 9 or 10,
9 or 10 would be.
would that work for you, Ian?
Yeah.
On the May 21st as well?
No, what days are those?
I think they're Thursdays, as I recall.
Yeah.
We pick Thursdays.
I thought it was Thursdays.
May 21st.
It is the third Thursday.
Yeah.
No, it's the fourth Thursday in April.
Yes, that's good.
I could, yeah.
And the third Thursday in May.
In May, I could do either the morning or the afternoon or 5 o'clock maybe.
You will have trouble in May on the third Thursday, because open space is at 9 AM. And Friends Mile Pond is at 10.
Okay.
That's on the 21st.
No, yeah, May 21st. Let's take it a
So
month
we
at a
could-
time.
we could-
Let's work on the 23rd first.
Yeah.
Hi, Carl. Carl, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Hi.
Oh, perfect. We didn't know if the owl was on. I couldn't find the on button to have sound. Thank you for joining. We're talking about the fact that because these meetings have to be held in a public space, scheduling them has become rather challenging. Jen Lavoy, the town's administrative assistant, has already warned me that April 23rd at 7 p.m. The rooms are all booked. So I was just asking Henry and Ann, who are here with me. I don't know if Mary's. I thought she was going to come, but she might dial in. I'm not sure. If we could do a meeting in the morning, that works for Ann and Henry? Would that might possibly work for you?
On the 23rd?
April 23rd, yeah, are you available to meet in the
Yep.
morning?
Yep, that'll be fine.
Henry, we need, is 9 or 10, do you have a preference?
I don't have a preference.
Let's do 9.
9?
9, yeah.
Okay, so I will change the date, April 23rd at 9 AM. And we'll worry about May 21st a little later on. Mary, thanks for joining.
Yeah, couldn't get in.
You can get over.
I couldn't get to the Zoom link.
Oh. Well. Welcome, Carl, Ian, and Henry, our subcommittee. Our charge, as we all know, is to work on updating the Columbia Lake Watershed Management Plan. And as I recall, Carl, the assignment fell on your shoulders from our last meeting was to go through that plan and come back and give us your thoughts on how best to tackle this. So I'm hoping and we didn't give you a whole lot of time to do that, but I'm hoping you did have a chance to do that and can report back to us on what you see as next steps that
Sure.
we need to. And just to refresh, our goal, I think as we outlined, I don't have the minutes right in front of me, was to have a draft. A draft of a new plan by end of June. With a ultimate goal of wrapping it all up, so getting other boards and commissions and whoever needs to be involved in this finalized by the end of January.
That still works for me.
Stretch.
Perfect. So give
We'll
us
make it
your
work.
thoughts, Carl.
Pardon?
Give us your thoughts.
All right. Can I share my screen?
Sure can.
You have the ability to see things, right?
Yep.
Try that. So
It's very small. I don't know if I can make that bigger.
I can make it bigger, it just
Okay.
We can all move up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
can-
yeah, maybe we should do that, actually.
Okay, yeah. Can you read it?
Now that we're closer to it, for sure.
Okay, great. So I went through the 98 plan outline, and that's what you see in the first column. Column A is basically just a repeat of what's in the plan. So
Okay,
I didn't change anything. And then column B is just whether right here, whether we need that section or whether it needs to be updated or how it needs to be updated. And then I have the proposed 2026 plan outline, which is here, and it scrolls down quite a ways.
Yeah.
Just sort of setting the table here, which we'll go through. And then I have questions for you guys for different sections on where we might need to get some input, get some thoughts from you folks, and then I've got a column here to make notes based on what you guys decide. So
let me just stop you and tell you this is fantastic what you've done, because you've made it very crisp and easy for us to talk through. What do we need? What don't we need? Where do we need to go
Yes.
get information? This is fantastic, Carl. I guess you've been to this rodeo before.
well, it's a little like herding cats, but yeah. But the two things that this outline approach will do is it sort of lets us collectively have input, but it also documents what we found in a way that I can share with others. You can keep in a file on your own, so that we know where things stand and what decisions we made and why as the document gets developed. So, so I'm going to start by just talking about, the executive summary. It's pretty straightforward. We're probably going to need one of those in the new plan. The introduction, and I have, just so you guys, if you have any questions, I have right there a copy of the plan as it was created previously, so we can refer to it if you have any questions or you want me to pause. So we can refer to this plan as we go. Could you see the plan, or is that too small?
I can see it. We can see
Oh,
it.
yeah, I have a hard copy here with me too, so
Okay.
we can.
I can always zoom in.
Specific.
Always
Yeah,
can
that's
zoom in
good.
if we need to.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think there'll be a lot of disagreement, but we do need updated discussion about what Columbia Lake is like, what we're doing with regard to the watershed management plan and how we develop it, and what the principles of the watershed management plan will be. So the outline's not really going to change. But the questions I have, let's get into these questions. So first question I have is just general overall. Is it okay for me to make this more friendly for the reader and a little less focused on the science? Or do you guys like the science?
Well, I'll speak for myself and then Henry and Ann and Mary can comment. I think we need the science somewhere. The underpinnings of the plan have to be, rationalized and justified, but I don't know that, the document itself needs to drill down very deeply. The more people that read this, the better it's going to be, so I think we do need to write it in such a way that the average layperson is gonna understand it.
In appendices or tables.
Addendums.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not foregoing science. This is a very technical document once you get into the meat of the text. And so one of the things I'm hoping to do is add photos, add maps, and other helpful graphics to help educate people and to make the document a little more, I won't say, it'll be more friendly, a little more useful to people so that, you know, when you want to look at understand the nutrient loading, there'll be a graphic showing the nutrient loading rather than a nice table. Tables are nice. We can have both. It's just a matter of, I don't want the document to get huge, and I can get a lot of benefit out of graphics. And I'm going to put in color graphics and kind of bring it into the 21st century if we do. So that's my goal. If you guys are okay with that, and I can always make drafts, and if you don't like it, we can always change things. And we have a lot of maps and information like the bathymetry map. There was no bathymetry map in the old version. I think adding a bathymetry map to the new version, since we created one, is certainly a nice thing for people to see and understand, without costing anything. You know, it's just a matter of the document might be a little longer with some graphics, but I think I'm going to have a lot of savings on text as we go along. The other thing is, so once we get into the introduction, in here, we have a lot of, where is it? Trying to find the introduction. Yeah, not that part. Is this? Yeah, this is all executive summary. That was the confusing part. Okay. So when you get into the actual introduction here, there's a big market analysis of the waterfront lot values. Do we want that on the lot economic? See this here? It's like, you know, a residential lot in Columbia is approximately $35,000. Waterfront lots have a value of $70,000. So that, you know, it's basically coming up with sort of how the tax base is derived from Columbia Lake properties. I'm not able to update that. I'm happy to add that or provide that to the document if that's important. It's just, I need input from you on who is updating that. Do you still want to do it? Or is that beyond the scope of what you want to update?
I think it's important to look at,
Because we can't use these numbers are so dated that they're not appropriate.
no, you know, it needs to be, but we have, I mean, there are two issues here. We don't want to call out, you know, any great discrepancy between the appraised values and the lake and appraised values elsewhere, but farms and ranches and so forth have very high values these days too. But I think what's important is to look at, you know, what part of the tax base is the lake, because of the fact that we need to preserve it for the whole town. If there's a dramatic change, and maybe we, instead of just being lakefront, maybe we make it the watershed wide rather than just lakefront, because to the extent that we're you know, talking about a significant part of the assessed value of the town, it will have an impact on town if they decline greatly.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think that should not be in there. It will be implied, but it should be the whole town that's supporting this report. The whole town is paying for it. And it involves our lake, not just waterfront. And I think by putting that information in there, it rubs, which you already are aware that there's this dichotomy in town. And I think that information rubs people's noses in town.
I hear you.
That's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say something different, although I appreciate your point of view, which is I just don't think it's needed for it seems a little out of place, and maybe at the time they were working on this original plan, they felt like they needed something to help sell it. And we may end up in those conversations, but I don't think they need to be embedded in this plan. I don't.
Yeah, I think you could drop it and still, the overall message in this about Columbia Lake is how important the lake's aesthetic, recreational, and economic quality, like that's all, it's a centerpiece for the community. It doesn't need to be highlighted that, hey, it's also a tax revenues. I mean, all properties in town provide tax revenue. So we can certainly just emphasize how it's important beyond just the people that live there. It's a resource for residents townwide, which it says in the very next paragraph.
The concern that Ann mentions was the other side of, the flip side of it. And since we don't need this till January, and since it's gonna fall on our shoulders to do it, why don't we take it out for now? I do think we need to have some information to say it's a third of the tax base or whatever. Part of selling the rest of the town that have on it is that you're protecting yourself from having higher taxes by the fact that we're supporting the whole town's tax base. But the risk is the us them problem that Ann points out. And maybe we don't have anything in the report, but we just have that information available when it's discussed. Yeah.
I have that data, by the way, because I've gotten it from your home.
You do have the data.
Okay.
We're focusing on the health of the lake. And so, yes, you people who live right on it, your personal property values will plummet if the lake turns green. But the whole rest of the town has to help pay for it.
Well,
So,
and the whole rest of it,
Yes, the entire town, because the lakefront is.
Lakefront goes this way, something's gotta go this way to balance.
So the value the town would pay is to support the continued balance of the assessment that's here now.
And so, I think, yes, we could have that information, but let's not put it in here.
Worst or best case, put it as an addendum,
Yeah.
depending on how you word it. Because I think there are ways to word to say the values to the whole town.
Yeah, because I looked at that box when I read the whole report recently, I went, what were we thinking?
Alright, so we're not gonna embed it in the report, but I have that data, Henry, I can circulate it, I'll dig it out, we'll circulate it, and we can have it at the ready. If we get questions.
See if you
that
can-
need to talk
If you
about
can
it.
craft something that's constructive for the whole town and not us versus them.
We can think about
Yeah,
it.
I think generically you can make statements about this without the detail because this is a 25-year-old plan and it has little or no value because it hasn't been updated in 25 years. So I think putting numbers like this that get dated pretty quickly are not the best way to do it. So having that information as an appendix if you want, or something to refer to, we can certainly try that if you want, and then that appendix could be updated periodically if you need to or whatever.
I could do a search of other plans in other areas, be it Connecticut or beyond, and see how do they, if they put it in.
Yeah, I could do that.
They give us some ideas.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. And then the next section is
But before we leave that, I do think that there
okay.
may be some advantage to having some generic economic placeholder in the report, because people are gonna say, why pay? The main value also is to say, you know, if you look at it from a whole town perspective, having the lake is an important resource that influences people wanting to be in town and the value of the town generally. And so a polluted lake will dramatically affect the appeal of the town.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly put something.
Yeah, just a little placeholder, because we do have to say, you know, this is more than just aesthetics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there is an economic value.
And that can go right in the introduction.
Yeah.
It's right there. It was in the old without having all the,
Yeah,
it
Okay,
says it
that's
has a
fine.
tremendous effect on property values and tax revenues. Without getting into that detail, you can
Well,
still
we
make
can
that.
also just say town-wide, rather than, you know,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
the reputation quality of Columbia Lake has a town-wide effect.
Yeah,
general statement.
yeah.
Good point.
Like right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all there. It's all there. I'm gonna
We just
update
keep
this,
a couple sentences and move on, yeah.
Would you
right?
like
Yeah.
So keep in mind, I don't have to reinvent the wheel entirely here. There's a lot of information
Yeah.
that I'll be able
Yeah.
to adapt from what we've already put together, and
Yeah.
we'll just reuse it, and you guys will all have a chance to edit it and scratch on it. We'll make it a good document by the time we're done. But for tonight, let's just, instead of worrying about the language specifically, let's just make some decisions on
Yeah.
who we're gonna, are we in or out with some of these things? Is it needed or not needed?
Yeah.
So for instance, watershed management plan, background. There's a big section here on the Columbia Lake Watershed Management Task Force, all this history of what went into it, all the individuals.
Yeah, we don't, that can all be abbreviated, you know.
Right.
We've been studying the lake for 30 years and not this for 40 years.
That's a
So
footnote in
Yeah.
this.
does
Yeah.
anyone in this room want to volunteer to update that section?
I'll take a stab at it. It'll be much shorter, but we need space for graphics and pictures and other things.
Muffy, not Mary.
Oh, sorry.
Muffy.
Sorry,
It's not
Mary.
really as complicated as what was done the first time, which was a massive undertaking that involved a lot of people, all of whom are identified in that document. This is
Yeah.
something as simple
That
as
could be an
based on the original 1998 plan, the Lake Management Advisory Commission undertook updating the plan. And if we wanted to, I guess we could put the current constitution of the commission. I don't even know if that's necessary.
I don't think we need to do that.
So it's probably a couple of sentences.
Okay.
Carl.
I just didn't want to offend anyone by cutting it, but I also want to, this doesn't have a lot of value going forward to the people that are going to be reviewing the plan.
Ultimately, we probably will want to say before it's finalized that, Lake Management undertook this in consultation with inland wetlands and
two sentences.
Conservation Commission and whoever.
Zoning, blah, blah,
And
blah.
zoning.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
that's all we need to say.
Well,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll see later on, I have some questions about people that might be able to review and update some sections like Board of Health or Department of Highway or whoever. The other question I have is just for you folks, we have, where is this? Right here. It's not in this section, but we basically have this watershed protection areas A, B, and C. You guys are very familiar with that graphic.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's this big thing right here,
Yeah.
right? A, B, C, and then it's got the carve outs for the beavers and Herdrony Brook wetlands, etc. The question I have is, do you still need to do watershed protection areas A, B, and C differently, or can we make them protected in the same equal way?
That's a zoning issue.
Yeah,
That way.
I think for now, we keep it that way because it's in zoning, and unless there's, a, science or economic, reason to change it, it's politically accepted that way now, and people in those various zones have different requirements. And so if suddenly everybody has the same requirements all the way through, we're gonna have trouble selling it. So I would,
We
we would rock the
leave that
boat
alone.
more if we change that.
And we just went through zoning changes in our town and we were able to negotiate to get subzone A excluded from those changes. They weren't willing to include the entire watershed, so I don't wanna redo on that conversation.
Carl,
No.
what,
For another day.
Yeah.
yes, thank you. Carl, what we can provide you is there's an updated graphic of ABC.
Yep.
And planning and zoning section that addresses the watershed districts, A, B, and C. And then you can take a look at it, and if anything, just plop in the graph. I don't know if we need the P and Z stuff.
But look at it from your professional point of view
Correct.
and say,
Objectively.
you might wanna consider changing this boundary, or, if we stay with this, you lose this opportunity, so you can give us, some guidance and choice, but, absent that, from just a political point of view right now, the A, B, and C, if it can be is maintained, will make it easier to get this plan adopted and
Yes.
through.
It might be an outcome, could be, I'm saying, of this exercise, which is at the conclusion of this, we decide, well, do we really still need these subzones based on the conclusions of the report? And if they would be the same, whether you're A, B, or C, we could decide maybe it's worth going back to zoning. I don't know that we would, but.
And we can go back to zoning anytime. Sure. And initiate a change.
Sure.
Well, and zoning's gonna be involved before we get to January on
Yes,
this.
right.
Anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But for now,
It-
Carl, let us.
Yeah, I'm not.
We have an updated map we can give you, but let's leave it
And the
be.
P and Z section on the watershed.
Here's what I'm asking is really nothing in this plan needs to be specific to the specific areas. Like a ban on septic system additives, it's basically said the task force identified no septic additives for zones A, B, and C. Everything is dealt with as zones A, B, and C. So it's like, why are we, you could almost define at the beginning of the document that all the recommendations in this watershed plan are applicable to the watershed. Zoning can still keep their A, B, and C zones for whatever reasons they want to have their zones. But from from a lake management perspective, it doesn't, there's nothing we're doing in our recommendations here in this document that say you need to pump less
Exactly.
frequently if you're in zone B, or
Well, you can just state that in the beginning of the
Well, I
report.
would say let's, for now, even though it says A, B, and C, let's keep it in there as A, B, and C, because people know where they are.
And
Yeah, if we come so that there's absolutely no difference, we can certainly take it out afterwards, but for now, I think leaving it in is helpful for, people to identify,
okay.
their property and so forth.
Okay, we got it. Moving along, the old outline basically had lake long-term goals and had transparency, oxygen, and other pollutants. Basically, I'm gonna confirm that you guys want to update this with a focus on phosphorus. There was a mention of other pollutants being bacteria, and there was discussion in both of these sections on phosphorus, but I think we need to have a transparency, a phosphorus, oxygen, and then other pollutants, which would include things like bacteria or cyanotoxin, which is another potential pollutant.
Do
So,
you think of phosphorus as a pollutant or a nutrient? I
well,
mean, I guess in this context, it's a pollutant, but I think we should be careful of the words we choose.
I see.
yeah, so I've got it as its own independent
Yeah,
phosphorus. So
yeah,
in the old
okay.
document, there was no goal for phosphorus.
Right, I recall
Like-
that when I read it.
Like
Yeah.
there was no ideal. It was transparency and oxygen, and then you talked about other pollutants, which included phosphorus as another pollutant. But here, I think we want to keep bacteria and cyanotoxins as other pollutants, add a section on phosphorus with lake
Correct.
quality goals.
I
And if,
agree.
Fully, we all agree. Would you put phosphorus first or transparency first?
yeah, I was trying to figure that out. I think a discussion of transparency is pretty easy and clear for most folks, and then I can introduce the idea that phosphorus is one of the driving factors for transparency. And then the next section would be a section on phosphorus and how both of those things, high phosphorus and algae, affect oxygen levels in the lake, and then the other pollutants, etc. So I could switch it.
We all, sorry, Carl, I'm just gonna interject. We all suffer from this idea if the lake is clear, it's clean. We've all said that for you, well, I've said that for years as well, we have one of the cleanest lakes in the state. Cause it's clear and you can see down to 3 feet, 4 feet, whatever it is, and so. We do need to be careful in this document to clarify what, and I know you will do this, what transparency really means, and we also know it's a double-edged sword when it comes to.
Right. There's water clarity, which we're very proud of. And there's water quality, which phosphorus impacts both. Would you say, Carl?
Yep. Yeah, phosphorus impacts the transparency, the oxygen, and the cyanotoxins. So it affects them all. So putting that at the front makes sense. I'll do that.
Super.
And do you want to add cyanotoxin to the discussion or just keep it with the bacteria?
No, we should add it because it certainly has raised its head more regularly.
In the last 10 years, we can document patches of it.
And I'm of the belief that the cyanobacteria is what started the whole lake study in the first place, because I think it was a cyanobacteria.
Too. Yeah.
And well, even back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Really?
When the lake was all green for summer, it was a cyanobacteria phenomenon.
I do recall you saying
Yeah,
that.
and there's since your original document came out, the Connecticut DEP's come up with some real good guidance on this. So adopting that or, educating people on that with this, including that in this document, we can even add it as a reference down in your appendices.
Well, and I think it's going to be a positive thing for buy-in, because if we say the beach can be closed for cyanobacteria, that gets everybody, as opposed to just, the people who are bordering the lake.
Yep.
Good point.
Okay. Moving on to the basis for watershed planning. There was basically an overview, sources of quantities of nutrient loading, and then sections on septic systems, Erdoney Brook wetland and lake sediment. So I can update that with our current knowledge. The thing I'm going to likely change or shift is, try to keep it all in focus here, is same section, but stormwater is going to be moved to the front end because that's the biggest source of your nutrient loading. Groundwater / septic and internal recycling from sediment. So those would be the three sections. I don't have anything specific for Erdoney Brook wetland, but we do have discussions of it down below when we get into the beaver deceiver and this section here, future management, and I've got some questions on that in a little bit. So that's sort of what I'm thinking about. I can take a look. I'll show you see if I can get to that section now. It's way down. Oops, above that. Don't get sick trying to watch this while I'm scrolling. It's above that. All that. Okay. There we are. So this is the section. It basically talked about specific loading from that wetland, which our current loading model doesn't break it out that way. It just calls Erdoney Brook sort of the total. And so we have it's not focused on the wetland management aspect of Erdoney Brook in our current lake management document. So I think we need to just update the discussion to be a little more consistent with what the lake management document has. And I can do that. All of this is pretty easy and straightforward. The other thing is septic systems were a big focus back in the 90s. And a lot of this was just estimated numbers. But what's happened since then is we've learned a lot about how phosphorus gets into a lake. And unless the system is failing, breakouts coming in, you really don't get the kind of loading from a septic system that people had suspected originally. It basically absorbs to the soil. So,
well, I think that probably is helpful to mention as part of the discussion in the plan, because whenever we have a meeting, everybody asks, what about the septic systems? And
yep.
I think the other thing that we can say with the septic scenario, qualitatively, is that when this plan was being put together, there were still many more summer places that had undocumented septic system records in the town. And since then, there've been a lot of new development and nutrient allocation plans and engineered septic systems that meet the public health code. So we could say, that times have changed, septic systems are better. They're really not a problem. We just need to be watching for breakouts and maybe have a wise focus on proper maintenance.
I think it's how you prioritize it.
Yeah,
And you got it by stormwater, groundwater, slash septic. That's probably where you can make those mentions.
I do think it's also important, because it wasn't really worked in here, to talk about our nutrient allocation plan and runoff from impervious surfaces. That may be part of the stormwater discussion, but I do think, unless you tell us otherwise, we should have some support here for continuing with our nutrient allocation guidelines on phosphorus. And if we can add some quantitative information to it, fine, or otherwise qualitative, saying that we'd be worse if we hadn't done it. We do need to have something in there that addresses that, because there are gonna be people that say, why do we have to keep doing this?
Right.
And I'd like to see some support in the plan for, not only is it advisable to keep doing this, but we need to have some kind of plan for overseeing proper maintenance once it's put in place, because a lot of the nutrient solutions that were put in, whether they be rain garden or mulch or plantings or whatever, have fallen by the wayside in a number of places without proper maintenance. And we should be calling for an introduction of some kind of a study on how best to regulate maintenance. I mean, this isn't gonna recommend what the right way to do it is, but we should call it out as an area that needs attention.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree. Okay, that takes us to the phosphorus budget section, which has two things. It has allocation for existing development and future development. We can, the challenge I have is I can simplify this section and update it with the ESS study that was done on the nutrient loading. I think it was an ESS. I'm not sure if it was ESS or TRC, but one of those two. But
When was that done?
What? Sorry.
When was that done? In 2023? Is that what you're?
Yeah, 2023.
Okay.
We started work in 2022.
Right.
As ESS, and then 2023 we became TRC. So.
Oh, okay, I got it.
So I just.
ESS was the name of your company?
Carl's company.
Yeah, we got bought, and just so you guys know, we've been bought again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
TRC
a company bought TRC for 3.3 billion. So
Billion?
billion.
Yeah.
So things are evolving.
I hope you have stock options.
No, I don't have anything. I'm broke. But what it does, I'll reference the study based on the date it was put in, just so we have it and can even include it as an appendix. But what I want to point out is that the work that was done in this original document was done using land use sort of by the basin. So the watershed itself had certain amounts of residential land use, and it had a certain amount of undeveloped land, forest, etc., agricultural, and they projected how much nutrient would come off of that from a couple different studies that were done, and it was pretty varied. And then it projected how much development would occur in the watershed and what those changes would mean. And that's a pretty standard practice, and I can do that, but I haven't done it, and we don't have that perspective. That's not how I did the land use modeling or the nutrient modeling for this. So what I'm suggesting is I still describe the existing development based on, the ESS study and the phosphorus position paper that I pulled together for you folks. That was part of the planning and zoning
Correct,
comments.
the POCD,
Yeah, the POC.
Plan for Conservation and Development, they've already done.
Oh,
This.
well, we shouldn't reinvent the wheel if we don't need to.
And Carl, are you comparing old apples to new oranges, and so you wanna update it, make it more simpler with the methods now?
Yeah, so what you have here, I'll take you through it. Here's their discussion of existing development, and it's not really applicable to what we understand the lake to be currently.
Yeah.
So, and you can see there's a lot of discrepancy. There was a study in 77 and a study in 85, and this guy found this amount and this person found this amount.
Yeah.
And then in the end, they decided it's going to be this amount, the 316, which is very different than these, because they were all calculating things differently.
Yeah.
So
I think
we ended up with a number that was very close to these numbers, this
Right.
316. And what I think would be better than this whole section, which is just a lot of discussion of, and you look and it's like a normal year, a wet year, a weak that means nothing to most people.
Yeah.
It doesn't really it shows that you know a lot of science, but it doesn't show that you understand the reasons of why this plan is what it is. So like someone would have to go in and look and say, well, gee, septic systems, doesn't matter what the year, contribute the same. Runoff, no matter what, whether it's a normal year or whatever, it's the same. Livestock's the same, erosion the same. The only thing changing is this internal load. And, like that's such a minor thing to project, and it's not really meaningful. I think looking at it as sort of an average annual load, which is really that first column. And we have this information in I can update this with the current study, kind of take them through that. We've got graphics for it. We've got tables for it, and it will look nice. And I can talk about future build out and what areas might be developed and how that might change things without getting into, I can still talk about what we know is the critical, we can call it the bloom threshold if you wish, or we can, critical loading for the lake we have a number for it. So I can set the context of that in our discussions in this section without repeating these same tables over and over. And, like you look at this, the build out condition is not much different. Like it's basically, if you do none of the practices, you get a big difference. Well, okay. We can, and here you look and it's attributing it all to septic systems, 239 from 125, but direct runoff doesn't move much at all, which is the actual bigger source of your nutrient load. So I think we need to sort of update all of this with some better text and language, and then you guys can review it and decide if it meets the mark or not. And if we need to add stuff back or change things, we can.
Good,
Yeah.
you agree?
Okay. Then that's what we'll do, because otherwise I have to recalculate things, and that's a little
No, we don't.
more
need
work.
to.
I don't want to do it. So
Based on what we know and what we have.
Yeah, no, your instincts are correct, Carl.
Okay, good. Then that's what we're doing. I want to get this all documented with your, uh,
I'm really glad you're taking us through it section by section and giving us your reaction to it and having discussion with us about
yeah,
what to keep and what not to keep, et cetera, is super helpful for us, because there won't be, shouldn't be surprises for us when we get the draft.
right.
And it'll help you move more quickly in your writing.
And we won't have a lot of rewrites and wasted effort either if we kind of get on the
Yeah,
same page
yeah,
here.
agreed.
We're almost done. We're down to the recommendation section here. The old document had allocation of P load was a septic system management goals and management options to prevent septic system failures. So very septic focused. I'm basically saying we're going to have a recommendation section, less focus on these septic goals and more focus on these types of things, which I have. Stormwater quality improvement, I'm going to include maintenance of infrastructure, installation of new infrastructure, green infrastructure such as grass swales and rain gardens. I'll have a section on that. Education of residents for lawn care, animal waste, goose deterrence, etc. And then we'll cover septic system maintenance. I'm going to probably ask somebody from the town to have input or review or update that section because it's very heavy on ordinances. Which I think you guys have, someone in town has a better, like all of this stuff. I can update it with what's best practices, but things like, I don't even know if you have a pump out reporting ordinance.
No, never did it.
Do you
And
have a
it's
septic
brown pot.
system license ordinance?
No, you can, I think you can just delete all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never happened and it's, would happen vis-a-vis, the health district.
Yes,
Eastern Highlands Health District as opposed to the town.
and the health district frowns upon out ordinance. I talked to Rich.
Okay. Okay.
Even if we tried to get the town to do it. Yeah.
What was the rationale for frowning on
Because
Well-
we are abiding by the state laws now and all, unless there's a failed system, all is well because in how we installed.
it? Okay, so yeah, that was the argument for it, is that,
I'm not saying I agree.
yeah, no, right, that they don't want, municipal interference with the job that they think they're doing.
Exactly.
And so that's, I think I think education is good and a recommended maintenance schedule is
Correct.
good, but it's not gonna be a focus for town regulatory action.
Which is
Okay.
what?
Let's see if I can do.
I think a little bit could help.
Well, we can figure out ways of, kind of incentivizing it like you.
Rich was at the way to school meeting last night, so we had a chat. He has changed his mind on ordinances. Pop out.
Okay. So I will strike that. If I could find my strike through button, I would do it, but I couldn't find it. So that's that. Then we have management options for controlling development effects. These were easily updated with current knowledge on, proper use of fertilizers, construction phase impacts. These are the things that, if you look at the old document, soil attention systems, we're going to get away from a lot of that.
80%.
There we go, right here. So fertilizer, this is all that we had in the old document, you know. Recommends a ban on the use of high phosphorus now it's illegal. Like those have already banned statewide. So I can update with the current
Right. Mhm.
oops, no.
Well, the challenge there with fertilizer though is that, yeah, lawn fertilizers can't have phosphorus, but there's no, limit on agricultural land use with phosphate.
There are several farms in the zone watershed district.
Yep,
Several.
I'm aware.
So.
Yeah, no, and I can add, if you want, we can add sections on, like, none of this under the recommendations here. We could add a section on best practices.
Yes.
That would be good.
So that's something that wasn't in there. And we'll add it. So that way we can, you know, and we can keep it simple, but
Yeah.
make people aware that it's not just septic and it's not just stormwater, it's runoff from property. So, and then there might be that with education.
Yeah.
So easy enough. All right. Where are we? You don't want to eliminate, so no. Okay. Road maintenance. So in this section down here, we have it's not a lot, it's just this paragraph right here. The task force recommends the current policy of early spring road sweeping and drainage catch basins cleaning be continued. I'm assuming they still do this. What's that?
Still happening.
Yeah,
Okay.
that needs to stay in.
Yeah.
That's important.
And then this says these actions should radiate out from the lake. The town should request similar treatment from state. I don't know if that's exactly what they're doing or not doing or how they want to proceed, but I'm hoping we can get somebody, the committee can get somebody from the highway department to review it and make sure that what we're writing is.
Well, we can do it, but let's go with whatever you would guide first, because I suspect that what had been developed there has fallen by the wayside as a result of changes in town managers and public works staff and so forth. But the kind of thought there initially was start with cleaning and road sweeping closest to the lake, and then move back in the watershed. And I'm not sure that that's the way it's being done anymore.
Yes.
And there was once a time when Lake Road was a low salt area, and that's no longer being done. So if you could give us write that from a best practices point of view, and then we'll have discussions with the public works about how we might have to modify it.
And some of this we have talked about recently at LMAC meetings, like the early sweeping came up this last year. We communicated to Bethlehem, somebody from LMAC did, to say you need to get out there and do this sooner. So parts of it have been discussed. But I agree with Henry. Tell us.
This is the one area where the A, B, and C would come in handy, because taking zone A and sweeping it, zone A is the one closest to the lake, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So sweeping that more frequently than the other zones would be actually beneficial. So,
correct.
but the town
And,
may or may
and
not
it's,
want to do that.
it's the quality of the sweeping they have in the fiscal year, because the sweeper keeps breaking down, and it sucks. A new one,
Yeah,
so let's see.
yeah,
And the quality of cleaning a catch basin. It's been brought to LMAC's attention that they're sucking the water out and not the leaves, but there's a new method to suck the leaves out. Better quality. I don't know if that's true or not, but that should be in there. It's true.
It's been subcontracted too, and nobody's overseeing the.
Nobody's overseeing it, except the
Yeah.
people who care about the lake and go out and say they're not doing it right.
And they actually have vacuum trucks that are even more efficient than the sweeping trucks that actually pull the
Yes.
material up and, remove it
We
as
pull
opposed to.
blocks out of the catch basin of,
Oh, yeah.
of the 81, like
Sticks.
logs, big logs.
Okay. And then in the old document, we had a discussion on Erdoney Brook beaver dams, in-lake sediment loading, atmospheric deposition, and livestock. So I will update the livestock one to the current, is it an ordinance or guideline?
The ordinance, but
Okay.
could that be covered in the agriculture section that you were gonna add, or is
Well,
that?
this will be future management options. So things we want to do going forward
I
with
see.
regard to livestock and stuff that's not currently being done that might need to be sort of a recommendation of the group. I'll update the lake sediment, the Erdoney Brook beaver dams. I kind of reordered this as in lake sediment, Erdoney, and livestock. Did you guys ever put in a beaver deceiver? That was the discussion in the old document, is to put in a device to prevent the beavers from damming it up.
No.
Okay. So do you know why not?
Are there even beavers up there anymore?
The beavers are on the other side of Route 66.
Ah,
There are no beavers in the between the lake and Route 66.
There's a lot,
that's miles away.
Is that Old Lodge?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
there's lots of old
the,
ones.
basic scenario, I think, is that they, chewed up all of the, and,
Yeah.
you know, when, the undergrowth grows back, there may be reason for them to
Oh,
migrate back in, but there's no.
Ain't there.
however, the larger of the two dams on the lake side of 66 are still there,
Yes,
so that they hold the water. And it is the policy of these stewards to leave the fallen trees in the stream, which create pools and slows down the water to decrease sedimentation. So if nothing else, the beaver dams and all of that slow down.
Well, those are natural,
velocity.
that's natural.
Yeah,
the,
Be up there.
maybe again, from a point of view of future management, we need to be concerned potentially with the deterioration
If they deteriorate.
of that dam, because they are, made of natural products by beaver, and they have a lifespan, and, a washout could happen or concern. The other thing that you've pointed out in the past, Carl, I think when this came out historically, it was viewed that water coming down from the swamp and so forth was good, because it was filtering through all of this and coming in as opposed to over the land. But now there's a lot of eutrophication in that swamp, and the quality of the water that is coming in is maybe not what it was thought to be when this plan was.
More phosphorus leak.
Yeah.
However, as it is slowed down, velocity decreases, the sediment drops out before it gets to the lake.
Yeah, the sediment drops out, but the phosphorus from the goose poop, the phosphorus from the rotting leaves,
Natural.
and so forth, so, you know, I don't know whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, I'm just saying that their public opinion was, it was treated like spring water, you know, and it really isn't pure, clean spring water, so, you know, some comment about it.
Yeah. What you find with wetlands, most wetlands do just that. They absorb or use the nutrient during the period that they're growing. And then in the fall, when they senesce, they drop that nutrient. It either goes back into the soil or it actually becomes decaying organic matter in the water column that just gets flushed out with rain events. And so for your lake, which has sort of a slow flushing rate, when you get a pulse of nutrient that comes in either in the fall or in the early spring before the vegetation starts growing, you're getting that slug of nutrient that comes into the lake. It stays there and it's available in that bottom sediment until, you know, the lake turns over, brings it up and circulates it, and it becomes available to algae. So the wetlands are good for short-term treatments, but they're not really good when you've got a lake like yours that has this long retention time of the water. You know, if your lake flushed out every month or two, then, you know, the senescing wetland in the fall wouldn't cause an algal bloom because that nutrient would be pushing through during the fall and winter when there's no sun. You know, there's no algal growth. So that's sort of the downside of having a nice deep lake is you end up with sort of that long-term retention of all the nutrients from wetlands and everything else that's natural occurring. It just is a natural place for it to deposit. So
that goes to the possibility again from future management options is to whether a alum filter or something seasonally on the water flow from there would be beneficial.
yeah, well, we would have to do a little more study on that to figure that out. But yes, that would be one
Well,
option.
that's why I'm saying future management, or, you know, what might we look at in the future?
Yep, I can do that.
Carl, thank you, I gotta leave. I hope we're close to finishing, I think, right, Carl?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm done. That's it. I have appendices was the last section. I'm gonna include the ESS study, the TRC position paper on phosphorus and Connecticut DEEP cyanotoxin guidance, and I'll probably come up with some others, but as of right now, that's what we're thinking. And before, I didn't list all the ones that were there before, but it was
Sure.
quite a long list.
Be kind enough to send us this spreadsheet that as you modified it tonight so that we can have it for
Yeah, I'll save it.
And if you agree, that really is the minutes of the meeting.
Yeah.
So I'll just append that to a couple of sentences when we met and, front matter, and this was the substance of our discussion. That would be super helpful, Carl.
I'm not gonna, Muffy's is not gonna come up.
It's MARTHA.
Oh, yeah.
MARTHA, do I pop up? There it is. Yep, right there.
All right. Let's call it that.
Super helpful. Do
What
you
is it?
have enough to
326.
start writing, Carl?
Yeah, I do.
I'll quickly, just pare back that background section and get that off to you, and you can pop that in.
What should our goal be for April 23rd? Where do you think you'll be a month from now? Not, and I'm not saying to put pressure.
I'll have
Could we
started. I
touch
won't.
base to see how you're coming along?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that. Touch base, see where things are, if I have any questions, and then you can, or Muffy can work on her section. Um, and
This
that
is
would be,
Buffy talking. I know you can't see me. Mary left.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay.
There.
Carl,
Yeah.
that is a wonderful, wonderful start to this project. I can't tell you how gratifying it was to see what you've done and the thoughtfulness you've put into updating this document. We clearly have hired the right fellow to take this on for us, so
I'm
I'm
glad to do it.
delighted to be working with you and very much look forward to see this work product. I think it's going to be very, very nice when it's done and informative and helpful and readable and quite different. The other
You're
one
gonna
was
like it.
great, but something that's a little more readable would be welcome.
Yeah, and maybe, again, looking forward, you could work in somewhere, a suggestion for periodic review. How often we should,
I will
should we
do that.
put it on a
Yep.
5-year cycle, 10-year cycle?
Yep,
Yep. I
agreed,
will do that.
agreed.
Wonderful.
Alright, you have what you need from us, Carl?
Yeah, I do. I'm just making that last note from Henry on here to add periodic review discussion.
Perfect.
So, all right. I have
Thank you
what
so
I need.
much.
Thank you
I
all for your
appreciate your
time.
time. We'll be in touch in the meantime, but all of us will come together again on April 23rd at 9 o'clock. Assuming I can get the room, I'll check with Jen before I finalize that. Thank you
Perfect.
so much.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
You too,
Yeah,
Carl.
and you,
Thank
Carl.
you. By the way, I meant to congratulate you on Scott going to the hockey tournament. How I know, what an exciting game.
They lost, but won.
Yeah, 2-1 in overtime.
Oh,
Just like I watched it, we watched the
And they
game.
went into this with a 2-8 record
well,
in the state. I was like, they were so poor.
Did you know that Scott's the assistant coach
And
at
yes,
of the hockey?
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
I know, listen.
Oh, we watched the game, it was so exciting, but the coach's wife, Julie.
Yeah.
Hodgson is a friend of ours, because she was a close friend of Betsy Parker. And she was texting Mary what was going on, and we were watching it, and there was a 2-minute delay in the feed. So she was texting us information before we actually saw it on the screen, unfortunately, so we knew they lost before, 2 minutes before they actually lost. Oh, very exciting. We meant to send Scott a note, but I don't have his contact information. Thank you guys so much, and thanks for coming here.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little better than Zoom if we do get together.
It's much nicer, I know, but I don't like, you guys go to so many meetings.